Okay, we are doing outliers. How do we find outliers? Well. Let's read this problem and see what's up. So maybe we need a little more light. Is that a little more light? I think so. The Wacky Widget Company has 15 employees. Their jobs and annual salary for each job are given below. So we've got a list of everybody right here. So we can zoom in on that. Now then, what we need is to put all that in your calculator. So I did that already, so we wouldn't waste time on that. So you can see that I added all the numbers in here. Maybe you can't see, but all the numbers are in there. And now we want to go to Stat. Remember, over 1 to calculate. And then the very first one is what we want. We want one variable stats, and so we're going to hit that and enter. There we go. So the first thing we see right here, the mean. The average is 51,000. 51,000. That's the mean. Now then, if you look, the average is right here, 51,000. Only 4 people make more than the average. 11 people make less than the average. So you'll see quite often that when they do stuff like this, they'll say, well, let's look at the mean. The mean is 40,000. Now that's more like it because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people are at the mean or above, median or above. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people are below. So that makes more sense that would be a good average, right? So you'll see when they do the mean and median. But what we're looking for is the outlier. So let me show you how to find the outlier. What you need to know is the Q1 third quartile and the Q3 and the Q1. First quartile, second quartile. So I've got the first quartile and the second quartile are right there. I'm going to write them down for you. For third quartile is 60,000 and first quartile is 20,000. Now remember that that's part of the box plot. Q1 is right here, and then here's the median, and then here is Q3. So when we make our little box plot, there's some numbers down here, and then there's some numbers up here. Right? This is the top dog, that's the max, this is the min. That's the way it works, right? Well, what we're doing is we're subtracting these two numbers to find the IQR, right? So 60 minus 20 is 40,000. $40,000 is the IQR, right? Now, what do I want to do with the IQR? That's the question, right? What am I going to do with this thing right here? Well, in order to find an outlier, which is what we want, let's move this down. In order to find an outlier, what we have to do is we have to take the IQR and multiply it times 1.5. Yeah! And then we have to add it to Q3. And if a number is bigger than that, if you have a value on your chart that's bigger than that, then that's called an outlier. It means it's too big. It's not close to all the other numbers. It's outside of the range of the other numbers, right? And there's two outliers, because you could have an outlier that is smaller smaller than the Q1. So what is it that we are doing? We're doing this. So if it's 1.5 times IQR, if it's bigger than Q3, it's an outlier. And if it's smaller than Q1, it's also an outlier. So let's see if we can figure that out. Does this help? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Okay, so I've got Q3 is 60, the IQR was 40, so I need to do 40,000 times 1.5. So this is 60,000 plus 60,000 is 120,000. Now, is there any number on the list greater than that? And the answer is yeah. The top number was greater than that. Remember, the guy at the top, the CEO, was making $250,000. $250,000. See? Right there. This guy made the next guy was only making 100,000. So 100,000 is not an outlier because it's not bigger than 120. But 250 is an outlier. So, is there an outlier? Yes, there's an outlier. Yes. There's an outlier. $250,000. That's the outlier. Now, is there one below? Well, Q1 is 20,000. And if we subtract 60, that becomes negative. So there's not any numbers that are smaller than that. So there's no low outlier. Right? There's only one outlier, and it's greater than that. Okay? Now, that's how you find an outlier. Now, what if we remove that outlier? What do you mean remove the outlier? Here, well, let's write down what we know. We know the mean is 51,000. The median is 40,000. And the mode is also 40,000. We know that from our list of numbers. Now, what if I take and remove the $250,000? So here's $250,000. What if I remove it? It's gone, right? Now I have everybody, I take the outlier out, and now I want to know what is the mean. Well, look what happened. When you remove the outlier, the mean gets smaller. 36,785. Look at the median. The median is 32,500. Now the mode's the same. You can check it out. Look at the mode. We put them in order and we see what's in there more than once. 40,000, 60,000 is in there twice. But look, 40,000 is in there 4 times, right? And then there's 320,000, so 40,000 is the mode. When I took out the outlier, right, the mean dropped down. It has a big effect on the mean. The mean got smaller. The median is 32. Now, these guys are closer to what the average really is because that CEO is boosting up the average, right? His salary is just way too large. So what we just did is we found the IQR. How do we do that? We found outliers. We find the IQR, which means you subtract Q3 and Q1. So I subtract these two numbers. Then I multiply by 1.5 and add it to Q3. So I'm adding it over here and seeing is there any number bigger than that value. And there was one number bigger, right? And then I also subtract that number from Q1 and it was way over here, so there was no number smaller. That's how you find outliers. Okay? Let's try and do that by yourself. Here we go.